So those three general forms that humor can take can then be divided into roughly, as far as I could come up, there's probably more, 15 subcategories of humor that are based on one, or like I said, probably a combination of those three general theories. So first you have physicality, like physical humor, like I said, slapstick or pranks or stunts, clowns, like I said, get the pie in the face, or mimes making funny facial expressions, or an awkward dad doing a funny dance at a family event. Like all of these are physical humor. At number two, we have absurdity. So this includes quote unquote random humor, surreal humor, illogical situations, and nonsensical premises. So a lot of sitcoms, such as Seinfeld or Friends, exhibit this, where characters find themselves in ridiculous situations, such as Monica with the turkey and sunglasses on her head, or Adult Swim cartoons like Aqua Teen Hunger Force, where it's like a floating sentient carton of fries with a goatee and a mustache, and a giant milkshake with arms and a door in the background that's perfectly outlined for the shake to get in and out. Like that's absurd. But there's some sort of pleasurable humor that can be derived from that absurdity. And number three, we have irony. So that's, deadpan delivery and dry humor and sarcasm, as I mentioned, expressionless delivery, like non-jokes, like I said, the chicken crossed the road. Four, we have surprise. So again, that disjunction between what's expected and then a subversion of those expectations. Number five, you have malicious joy. So laughing at others' misfortunes to make one feel better about themselves, superiority theory. Number six, we have put downs like insult comedy or yo mama jokes, either derogatory, like direct towards someone else, or more self-deprecating, depending on if it's directed inwardly towards poking fun at oneself instead of others. So here you have the MTV show Yo Mama, and again, you see the pointing and laughing right there. So you already know it's largely based on superiority theory of humor. And on the right, you have an example of a stand-up comedian, engaging in self-deprecating humor by mocking their own appearance. This particular stand-up, in my opinion, is kind of a hack. I don't think he's particularly funny, and you can see that he can't rely on the strength of his own jokes and his own stand-up comedy material, that he resorts to gimmicks such as taking off his shirt during his stand-up routines. Like people can laugh at him even when what he's saying isn't funny. At number seven, we have unruliness. So this is like insubordination, treating people in traditionally respected positions of authority with disrespect, being irreverent. So this could involve prank videos or reality TV shows where the characters are just belligerent to other people. I once saw a TikTok video of an employee pelting his boss with rolls of paper towel. And I think that probably adds to the humor that it was his boss and not just a fellow employee or something. So it may give the viewer some sort of vicarious feeling of indulging in that, self-destructive Freudian tendency to throw ourselves at the void without actually throwing ourselves at the void or subjecting ourselves to potential trouble. At number eight, we have social order deviancy. So things that deviate from the prescribed social order and social norms. So this includes indulging in things that society considers taboo subjects, dark humor, as I mentioned. At number nine, we have awkwardness or cringe humor, where we perversely get some pleasurable goosebumps. I call them douche chills, where we feel secondhand embarrassment for someone. So for example, like a wedding proposal video in public where the woman says no, or if you've seen Impractical Jokers, where the cast members go out in public and are then put into awkward and uncomfortable social situations that go on for way too long, and you just feel for the person. You're just cringing on their behalf. It's like watching a car crash. You want to look away, but you just can't. At number 10, we have sentimental humor. So this could involve cute humor, like dogs or cats or pets doing something endearing, or even nostalgia humor, member berries, where like a stand-up comedian may look back on their personal follies from youth. Like the different, they might have a picture from the awkward phase they went through in high school, and they could look back on the past with a humorous perspective. Or when a movie sequel or reboot of a series does a callback and references something from the first movie or the original series. So the TV show on Netflix, Cobra Kai, is an example of that, which frequently references the original Karate Kid movie. And it's pleasurable for fans of that old movie to see it being referenced and parodied, because it's a movie from their childhood that they have a lot of nostalgia for. I actually think this show is particularly well done, but there are plenty of other very lazy examples of a movie sequel or a reboot just uncreatively referencing the past, hoping to get that member berries or that sentimental humor. And then 11, we have bodily humor. So that relates to private bodily functions, such as toilet humor, fart jokes, or childish indulgence, maybe one of those sound effects machines that make farting noises, or gross out humor, or adult humor that's based on the physical anatomy in some way, or backstage physical processes. 12, we have observational humor, so the ability to point out things in everyday life and poke fun at them. Jerry Seinfeld's stand-up comedy is very much observational. At 14, we have topical humor. So that's humor that's based on current events or trends, such as political satire, Saturday Night Live, especially with its weekend update segment, or the opening monologues that late night TV show hosts do. Maybe South Park, because they're always referring to things that have happened recently in the news and that their audience likely has knowledge about. This is largely a disposable humor with weekly or even daily turnover. So you might make a topical joke one day and the next day it's no longer relevant or no longer funny. So it's meant to be produced quickly. So it's easy to just pick out a controversial celebrity who's in the news for some reason and then just use them as a punchline. At 14, we have wit and wordplay. So this involves puns, double entendres, just the unconventional twisting of language with humorous results. And finally, at 15, we have improvisation. So this is unscripted, impromptu, on-the-spot humor. So this could be performed by improv groups, such as maybe you've seen the show Whose Line Is It Anyways, where they brilliantly perform on the spot with what they're given. And it's arguably more impressive and it increases the humor and the funniness of it because you know that they're just coming up with it on the spot and it's not pre-prepared. So I thought we'd enjoy a few TikTok videos and maybe try to determine and identify which theories and or subcategories of humor are at work in each of them.
Sorry about the squeaking. We're just hanging out, so I'm gonna answer some questions. This one asked, like, kind of how did I know, what were the signs? Excuse me. So her eyes had like a shake or...
So this one could be interpreted as funny because of, I'd say, a bit of incongruity between the foreground and the background of the scene. Now the foreground seems like a mother doing this serious Q&A, and in the background you have her toddler just going hard on the teeter horse thing. Like, she is putting in work because she seems like she has somewhere to go. And I would also say there's a degree of a relief theory here because the video goes on for like another minute and the woman doesn't acknowledge the ridiculous scene that's happening right behind her. And that's what a lot of the comments are referring to as well. They're saying, like, is she going to war? I'm sorry, but I'm dying at how hard she's going on that horse. Or when you're late to work in 1832. So they definitely see the humor in what's going on there too. And in terms of the categories, I would say absurdity and maybe awkwardness because, again, it goes on for too long. And probably physical too, because there's a lot of physical humor in how the toddler is riding the horse.
Я тільки
Okay, this humor kind of appeals to our base instinct. Just see some is like our caveman instinct of, oh, me see something go high and then fall down and flat. Like there's something funny about how abruptly it lands and just no shaking or rattling afterwards. It just lands flat on the ground perfectly. I'm not sure how to pinpoint that into superiority or incongruity or relief theory, but at least in terms of the categories, maybe a bit of unruliness because you feel like they probably shouldn't be lighting fireworks in this area. And then also maybe irony because you expect something more bombastic to happen. And then when it just falls with a thud like that, it's kind of like that deadpan delivery. Okay, let's move on to the next one.
I can't breathe.
Okay, so this poor man is being attacked and relentlessly harassed by a bird to the point where he falls into the table and just spills his drink entirely and hits his knee and then starts and then starts he's hopping around on one leg as the bird continues to try to peck at him. I don't know what sort of vendetta that bird has against the poor man, but it's produced a hilarious video. So superiority 100% there, and I'd say even a bit of incongruity is there because of just how random it is to be assaulted by this tiny bird. And then I'd say a lot of the categories are kind of checked off here. You got physical humor, you have a bit of absurdity. Kind of hit me as a surprise when he fell into the table like that. Awkwardness, perhaps. Yeah, there's a lot there. But let's move on to the... Okay, this one I feel like it's very much relief theory because it goes on for too long and you feel that kind of secondhand cringe start to emerge where you're like, how is he not saying anything? This guy is spilling water all over his face. So I feel like this is kind of a relief theory, but maybe even a bit superiority theory because this is like a less direct version of slapstick comedy. And I would also say it's relatable because clearly this client is just too polite to say anything. And I think we've all been in that situation where we're being disadvantaged some way, unknowingly, perhaps by the other person, and we just don't say anything because we're too polite. So there's some awkwardness going on for sure.
Fuck you! If you destroy that fucking light, I'll kill you! You know you're not supposed to do that to lights. Grow the fuck up.
Okay, so here we have unruliness for sure, not showing due respect to a parental figure, it seems. And we have here an awkward dad who's typing with like size 89 font, which is funny in itself, and just the very restrained way he lashes out. It's too good. I'd say that's a bit of superiority theory there. Yeah, in terms of theory, I'd attribute that to superiority, and in terms of subcategory, I'd say that's unruliness. Okay, again, relatability there. We've all had encounters with tiny dogs with big personalities, and probably incongruity there because it's a tiny dog with a big personality. There's some sort of disjunction there. And unruliness, in this case, is unruliness on the part of the dog. And surprise in the sense that how it almost comes through that tiny hole in the wall. That's a borderline jump scare. That's relates to what I said, that there's a fine line between incongruity used for humor purposes and incongruity used for thriller or horror purposes. Relief theory, probably. Building up tension and then dissipating really quickly in a humorous way.
Paw. Thanks, Jasper.
Incongruity. You wouldn't expect a dog to be so elegant. And probably physical humor, too. The way the dog did it with their body relates to a physical humor.
I'm gonna buy some crystals. I'm gonna buy.
Okay, so this lady is coughing, and then she turns it into something a lot more than that. Kind of relief theory too, just how long she's going on. You expect it to stop sooner, and a bit incongruous too, because you don't expect a cough to do that. Like one of the comments says, she's casting an entire spell with what she's saying.
Did Jack Black predict that the 9/11 attacks would occur 2 years before the incident happened? No. Did Jack...
Okay, incongruity there. You don't expect it to just end so suddenly like that. And probably irony too. Like I said, that deadpan delivery.
So I'm walking. There's a piece of lettuce. And if you turn around, another piece of lettuce. But guess what? Another piece of lettuce! So
Just so random, and again, some things they just tickle your fancy. Just the sheer combination of disjunctive random elements just comes together to form something humorous.
In the morning, thinking about so many things. I just wish things would get better. I'm trying to get rid of them, but no.
Oh boy. Okay, so superiority theory is at work here. Poor guy meets his idol while he's crying hysterically, and you just feel for him. So superiority and awkwardness are working hand in hand here.